Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz on June 6, 2015, 11:46 p.m. Birmingham. Topic: the electromagnetic pulse, the EMP bomb. What would happen if that bomb was used? First, let's go back to 1945, and we did two tests of the atomic bomb before carrying it over to Japan and dropping two on them, one in Hiroshima and one in Nagasaki. The total combined deaths were 129,000 people, and they thought at that time it was considerably higher, but it was 129,000 people died from those two bombs. Plus, it knocked those cities back 80, 70 years, something like that. Now, to this day, Japan is still the only country that's ever been attacked by a nuke. And the reason there hadn't been more is because a likewise response on the invading country. That's why they haven't used them around the world, because the devastation is heavy. The recovery time is 100 years. Now, if a renegade country, say Iran, and they're itching to take this bomb and drop it on Israel, God's not going to allow that to start with. But just say, okay, well, he won't allow it on Israel, so Iran is going to drop it on America. Well, before the thing could hit the ground, we would have responded back. In a matter of 3 days, you could count on between 2 and 4 billion people around the globe dying, because the response would be extremely astronomical in numbers, because it would draw neighboring countries in that has the bomb to just simply defend themselves. So you would see a really bad response, and just horrible things happen. But I started out telling you about the EMP. So let me tell you about that. It was tested on July the 8th in 1962 for the first time. It was at 250 miles in height up in the sky, and I have the size of it down here somewhere, but 897 miles from the nearest land, which was Hawaii. The bomb made no sound. It was a test. Its weight was 1.44 megatons with a W-49 thermonuclear warhead. It gave only a very brief, very bright white flash in the sky. After the flash, the entire sky glowed green over the mid-Pacific for an instant, and then a bright red glow formed around the sky. This is at ground zero, or sky zero. And the initial fireball lasted less than 1 second before being dissipated by the Earth's magnetic field lines. Now, even at 897 miles away from land, the impact was far more severe, that far away, than they even thought. This is Americans that did the test, and it was Americans that it affected. But it did other damage that no one knew would happen. Also, this flash was followed by a bright red-orange aurora display lasting for more than 7 minutes. Long-range radio communications was disrupted for a period of time ranging from a few minutes to several hours after the detonation, depending upon the frequency of the radio being used. And I didn't know that had anything to do with it, but it's unrelated to the EMP, the radiation cloud from the starfish. That's the name of the EMP that they sent up. Starfish prime test with 9 intent destroyed at least 5 of the United States satellites and one Soviet satellite. But here's a kicker. The most well-known satellite was Telstar, the world's first active communication satellite. Telstar was launched the day after the EMP, and Telstar was knocked out of commission. Slightly at first, and each time Telstar would circle the planet, it would go through this cloud that the EMP left. And each time it would go through, it would diminish the Telstar until after 2 to 3 months, the Telstar was a dead satellite. And this is the radiation field that it left up in the sky. And keep in mind, the starfish was a very small test-only EMP. They have 3 components. They have the E1, which destroys computers and communications with lightning speed. The E2 is the pulse that is the easiest to protect against, but it's still as fast as the E1. And the E3 pulse is very different from the E1 and the E2. The E3 component of the pulse is very slow, so slow that most people would not use the word pulse to describe it. There are many types of EMPs. To go after America, it's very easy to wipe out all communications in all this country. And it would take either 2 or 3 EMPs at a height of 250 miles to do so. But again, deep underground, most nations, including America, Russia, China, India, Israel, France, and others, have protected most of their backup systems. In other words, they can lose everything on the ground, but they can still operate underground because that's not been hit. And I don't know what it takes to protect them, if it's 200 feet of ground or a sheet of lead over it, I don't know. And that's something they won't give out, of course, but the surface, of course, you and I will be in the dark, completely in the dark for a very long time. So since 1945 through 1998, I want to tell you this, there's been 2,053 nuclear bombs tested. America, 1,032 nuclear atom or hydrogen, and Russia 715, and then the rest of the nations 306. That many bombs from 1945 to 1998. And I guess it makes sense for you to understand why more have not been not tested but used. When they're tested, they leave out components that would create a radiation cloud so that when they do the test, it's not going to hurt anyone. But when they do the real thing, you're talking about major devastation worldwide. And these are some of the things that we will see in the future. But I don't think there are going to be nukes as far as atom, hydrogen, or atomic. I'll tell you what I think it is later. Jody Wolf, Expoz.